Hello, Ali.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good. Little fact: we have known each other. I think me, you, and Josh have known each other longer than I think I've known my wife. I'm pretty sure.
For a very long time, I have some distinct memories of Kendall and I being on the sidelines of some college dodgeball games, cheering fiercely for you all. So,
Yeah, that's right. Those were the glory days of just pure carnage, but
yeah,
a lot of fun. A lot of fun. But you're doing, I guess, real world adult stuff now. And so just
unfortunately,
just
yeah.
just kind of tell me about it. Tell me about what you do, how you do it.
Yeah, so I am a senior travel advisor at Picture This Travel. We are a women owned and operated boutique agency. We also are unique because we work for the largest consortium of travel agents in the world, which is really cool. Yeah, I honestly have such a dream job because I get to plan people's trips and watch them go on their vacations and kind of enjoy vicariously their experiences and just help couples and families make amazing memories. I always said travel is the most fun thing to sell. I could be selling a lot of really boring things, and travel's super fun. Everybody always wants to talk about it and share their experiences. So it's like such a blessing to get to do this as like a job. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, totally. Travel is awesome. I think anytime you talk about travel, I would think the majority of people get excited. So you're dealing with a fun topic
Yep.
where already people probably think about, oh, what's my dream vacation? Oh, how can I turn this work trip into a cool vacation?
Yep.
And so I guess I'm curious, how did you get into it? Like, where did
Yeah.
that start?
So originally, I got my degree in journalism and then education, and I kind of became, in a roundabout way, a senior English teacher. And then I ended up becoming the travel club advisor. So I was able to plan trips for high school juniors and seniors, and I was selling travel to honestly like kids who could not afford it. Like these families, we were fundraising, and I was selling like pretty big groups. And my husband's aunt owned the agency, Picture This Travel, and she was seeing what I was doing with high school kids, and she's like, "You're selling like crazy, but like, what if you could sell to people who had money and like, could really go on real vacations and not just these like school trips?" And I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that that was like a job. Okay, cool." Yeah, she kind of recruited me back in 2017, and I learned the business while I was teaching. It was kind of like a side gig, and then it just kind of took over. I liken it a lot to real estate. I don't think that you can do real estate part time. I don't think that you can be a travel agent full time either.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of just took over. And even through COVID, I did have to go back and teach 1 year. But really, I told somebody today, I'm an agent that survived COVID. So that was kind of a crazy time to be in this business. But yeah, that's kind of how I got into it back in 2017 and just learning and navigating ever since then.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I know because I've known you and Josh so long, I've kind of seen that journey. I knew the bits and pieces of like where you started and where you're going and what you're doing now. And every time I see you just post something, whether you've worked with somebody or just success you've seen for the business that you're building, like it gets me excited. I like seeing people who are being successful, doing things that they love and enjoy doing. So it's really cool to see that. And I know so much, and you can elaborate on this if you want. I think of probably what's maybe taken it from this where it was kind of part time. You were maybe deciding whether you want to commit to it to where now it's like you're thriving. And I know so much of that is probably from how you approach content, what you do
Yep.
with content strategy and which platform. So maybe talk about like where you maybe started with that and where you're
Yeah.
headed and things like that.
Yeah, it was definitely a journey. Thinking back on how I very first started, promoting myself and posting content out on social media. Like, obviously, social media is fantastic. It's free. Everybody's on it all the time, so you might as well put your business out there. But it was a journey because I felt like at the beginning, I as an agent was doing everything. I was doing all of the trips. I was taking on every kind of client that I could because that's just how it is in the beginning of business. You're saying yes to everything. And it was a good learning experience for me. I learned what I loved to sell. I learned what I didn't love to sell. And then from there, I felt like after a couple years of just being very scattershot with my content and who I was marketing to, I then kind of started to narrow my focus and learn who is my niche, who's my audience, what do I enjoy selling, because travel is such a large product. I mean, it's endless, honestly, and it changes daily. So I really had to start to dial into who I was speaking to, who I enjoyed working with, and what I enjoyed selling, and really figuring out kind of how those overlap. So, I loved like selling Europe, especially for first timers, like people who'd never been before. So I was like, okay, I love selling this. This is so much fun. So who am I reaching to? And it's not just one age demographic. Some people are going to Europe for the first time and they're boomers, So it's thinking about that audience, and it's not just an age demographic. It's more of and what are their needs? What are their questions? Right. What are they looking for? So it was scattershot in the beginning. My content, I feel like I used to do like Travel Tip Tuesday and like stuff like that. And then I really started to dial it in and be like, okay, I love selling Europe. I love selling all-inclusives. I love working with honeymooners. They're so sweet, So like, how can I reach out to these people who have this need and just speak to them directly and kind of be very transparent about how I fit into the process.
Yeah, there was actually, I don't remember how long ago it was, but there was a post that you made that actually helped change my perspective about content. And it's part of the reason why I started doing this type of content. It was actually a post that you made where you said that when you shifted your focus to trying to help that audience member and speak to them rather than talk about the thing you want to talk about, like that changed your perspective on how you approach content. And that's completely revolutionized my thought process when it comes to the content that I'm creating now. Now what I'm trying to do is really hone in on that audience, which it sounds like you've done with your European trips. I mean, that's the psychographics. That's like, are they business owners that want to take their company on like, hey, we crushed 2025, let's go on a trip. Yeah. Like narrowing that in, hitting those pain points or the opportunities, and then just making content that speaks to that. And so I have to thank you for that, because it really did shift my thinking on how to approach content. And I think too, something you do really well is like, it's almost like founder-led marketing. Like it really is, where it's people get to know who you are as an individual, and your business is just the avenue through which the transaction is run, but they're really working with Ali Raymer, who happens to do this. And so I think that's something that maybe you can explain how you think about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's just, my main platform that I use is Instagram. So I think for me, it's really about being like my authentic self. And that's just such a huge part of my business is I'm dealing with people's hard-earned money. I'm dealing with their PTO, I'm like, these are important things that people hold very dearly. So I take it so personally, and I'm so passionate about it and enthusiastic. Like that's just a very crucial part of my business. So yes, people are working with Picture This Travel, but at the end of the day, like I want them to be able to be like, I'm working with Ali. Like I know who she is and what she's about. And, I think a big part of content creation too is just like exposing who you are and like how you deal with things, like how you deal with your clients and how you deal with issues and how, for me, it's kind of in the service industry. It's kind of like a trainer at the gym, like you have to trust, like if your trainer had like flabby muscles, you'd be like, I'm not trusting them. So like I always have to post when I'm traveling and like posting the good, bad, and the ugly when I'm traveling too, because they have to have that like trust and connection of like, whoa, like Allie's going here and going there and blah, blah, and doing that. So it's just wild. Like it's such a wild thing to own a business and somehow be like head of content creation as well. And so I think it's just like, yeah, how do I show my most authentic self? Because you really just can't fake it. Like you just have to be real.
Oh yeah, it's so true, and especially like your what you sell. And I hate to use the word sell. Sell has such a negative connotation.
Right.
It's more like the thing that you're passionate about doing that you connect with somebody who needs it, right?
Hmm.
That's selling.
Yeah.
Um, is a higher ticket item. So people aren't just gonna click a buy now button.
Right.
They're researching into the trips. They want to know who are people that I know that have been on these trips.
Yep.
What's that? What's it called? The social proof. They want to know how you approach it. Like they want to know how you problem solve because
Hmm.
not everything goes right.
Nope.
And any business owner, anybody that knows anything about life knows that things don't go right. And so
Yep.
it's so much about how do you deal with those challenges too. And I think having this type of content that is like you said, when you're on a trip and you tell things that are good, the bad, and the ugly, it really does build this sort of authentic bridge between you and that potential person that you're solving that problem. And I think a lot of times that for a lot of companies that have marketing maybe a little more systemized, a little more polished, kind of can miss that of
Hmm.
like, hey, they are really, it's not really like B2B marketing or B2C marketing. It's really human to human.
Hmm.
It's human people with human problems that are trying to find solutions and want to deal with people to solve those.
Yes.
And so I think this type of content really leads and helps with that.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, I know there are so many people that just they come to me and they've never used a travel advisor before.
Mhm.
I get that all the time. So for me, a lot of my content too is like demystifying like what it's like to work with me because they've just never done it. They've realized they can't just click the click now button for the custom European trip. Like they just can't do it. And they need that person that's on their side to like navigate them and help them like walk through the process. So yeah, I have that conversation on the daily of like, I just had it this morning. The guy was like, I've traveled everywhere, but I've never used a travel agent, you know, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it's okay. Like, I deal with a lot of you guys. It's all good. So I think that's a good reminder, though, having those conversations with people of like, okay, like I know what I do every day, but most people probably don't know what I do every day.
Mhm.
And so that's a big part of what drives my content, too, for sure.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So with your content, what maybe talk about let's limit it to the last maybe 6 months. What has worked? What isn't working? What kind of trend are you seeing in your world? Like talk me through that.
Yeah, for sure. So I really have two avenues, main avenues that I try to focus on where I find hits well with my audience and who I'm trying to sell to. So the first one, like I mentioned, is Instagram. I like it because it links to Facebook. So I'm kind of hitting my boomers on Facebook.
Hmm.
And then I'm hitting like my, younger audience on Instagram. So I can kind of hit both in one post, which is nice. And
Sure.
then I would say there, I'm really thinking about and anticipating those pain points that they're having. Like I said, honeymooners. I just posted about this week, but I love honeymooners. They're so fun to work with, but they have so much on their plate,
Yeah.
planning a wedding. So I really try to hone in on like, what are your pain points? And so as soon as I post those honeymoon kind of posts, I always have brides to be that are in my DMs, like, okay, help me, because they need help. Like they have so many decisions to make. So I think that's just being very clear about what I do and how I fit into the process. And then my other one is LinkedIn, which I very much struggle with. I will be
Mm.
honest. I had the guy that redid my website, he really got me, like, it was almost like business therapy. Like
Sure.
he was like, okay, let's go to therapy about your business. And we
Yeah.
really had to focus in on like, the avatars and why you're selling what you're
Yep.
selling and all that kind of
Yep.
stuff. So we did all the behind the scenes work, but I still was just struggling. Like I could not wrap my brain around LinkedIn.
Hmm.
And I was getting leads. I was getting great leads from when I would post, or people would see me post and they would message me. I mean, I've gotten plenty of sales, incentive trips, people who are business professionals wanting to take those PTO days, with their families. I had plenty of proof points. Like, this is working. This is a great platform to be on for my business, and not a lot of travel agents are tapping into it. But I was just struggling with the content, so I finally sat down with my husband, Josh, because he's just brilliant with things like this.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Agreed.
okay, he's so smart. And I was like, what can I do to make this consistent and like have a game plan? Because Instagram for me, I love it. It's fun. I don't hire it out. I enjoy it. I get up every morning at 5:30 and I'm like, oh, I'm going to post something. I'm going to make something in Canva. Like, I genuinely love it. And it feels natural. LinkedIn didn't feel that way. So we kind of came up with a game plan, and we literally have like, okay, Ali, you are going to story tell. You are going to, have some takes on travel news. You're going to have a counterintuitive, take in the industry. And I really had to sit down and kind of make these buckets, and really drill down on like, okay, I'm going to talk about building a team and scaling my business. And again, I'm still thinking about the audience on LinkedIn and what I think they'll respond to. But that's been a struggle to kind of figure out what plays well and what doesn't. Yeah, because Instagram is more fun. I'll just be honest, for me. So.
Yeah, and that's so the game that our company kind of plays is we deal with different industries, different people that do different products. So those different platforms lend well for different things. Right. My audience, yes, they're on all of them. LinkedIn is the one where I can build a bridge for in terms of when I talk business speak. So LinkedIn comes naturally to me. Instagram and Facebook, actually not so much for me. Because like, yes, so much of what I do is visual, but sometimes when we're discussing organic content, sometimes I feel like I'm just showcasing my work. I'm not necessarily drilling in on a pain point for someone who's looking into us. It's more like, hey, here's what we're capable of. Here are the projects we've worked on. Here are the people we've worked with. As like a kind of like a social proof of like, here we are. And so I haven't really tapped into that. Now, I will make the distinction that that's organic. We're developing a whole paid campaign strategy that is purely going to be through Meta, run through their campaign manager, where we're aimed at a specific audience, and so that's a totally different thing. But I think the point I'm trying to make is any business owner, any marketer, anybody that works with any marketer that works with multiple businesses is like, you have to know where that audience is, what platform they're on, and why they're on that platform, and what they're looking for. And just like you mentioned, Instagram, LinkedIn, those people are on there for totally different reasons. And so I could see why one might come more naturally than the other.
Yeah, for sure. And the LinkedIn one is so good. Like, people are ready on there to like book. And it's great for just networking connections as well in the industry. But, people are ready, and it's interesting how, I mean, it is a bunch of business professionals. So they have the PTO, they have the money to spend on travel, for the most part. And, it's just super interesting. I just had a call this morning, and the girl was like, oh, I saw my friend, it was one of her colleagues, comment that, you planned her trip for her on LinkedIn. And I was like, whoa, that is just I just think it's so cool when people say that, because Instagram, it doesn't really surprise me. I feel like people mindless scroll on there, and vacations feel right on there. But when people are like, yeah, I, contacted you through LinkedIn or whatever, I just get even more excited about it, because it's a stretch for me.
Yeah.
It's a struggle. So I get pumped whenever I get a lead from LinkedIn. So.
Yeah, I totally get it. For you, do you mainly stay in that sort of organic content? So like, you don't necessarily have a paid campaign strategy, or do you? If you don't, with organic, is that basically your organic content is what you do to drive leads, drive sales?
I really do. I think part of that is because we do live in a post-COVID world where we are still deep within the revenge travel. So the demand is just so high. Sure. We just haven't seen the need really as an agency. I mean, that's really across the board. We haven't seen a need for that at this point to do a lot of like paid
Yeah.
advertising, to be honest.
Sure.
And part of that too is, I often liken what we do to like real estate agents, but often realtors are doing one transaction maybe every 5 years. We're doing 4 transactions a year sometimes. I mean,
Wow.
you know what I mean? Like people are taking, yeah, there are some families, they only take one vacation, maybe every other year. But there are some families, they take 4 or 5 vacations a year. So for us, yes, it is more organic.
Yeah.
And I really do just think that that's the season that we're in. I think that we're also just super blessed to, boomers are at that right age.
Makes
They're at
sense.
that retirement age. And millennials value travel, even though we may not have as much money right now because we're raising kiddos, we do
Yeah.
value travel. So I don't know. I'm just hitting it at the right time. That's
Makes
all I'm gonna say.
sense. Totally makes sense. So you have, and this too, like, I think something that isn't to be overlooked is it's probably taken time for you to build that audience, an organic audience. And now what has happened is you have a built-in machine that is repeat referrals. That
Yep.
is all organic. That's not paid. And
Yep.
that is your source. And if you can, and it takes time to get to that point. I think sometimes that can be overlooked as people think, oh, well, I'm going to post this organic content for 3 months and, oh, I haven't had anything come through. It's not worth it. It's like, that's not how organic works. It doesn't
No.
work like that. Paid advertising campaigns for specific offerings can work
Right.
that way if that's what you're trying to get like a shortcut to it. But in terms of building an organic, like what you're doing, it just takes time and really I would say like I don't know if perseverance is the right one, just consistency. It takes consistency is the word that I'm
Absolutely.
looking for.
Yeah, that's really what I try to drill down with like our new advisors. Is consistency. I'm like, I post every single day. Like, I think I have over 2,000 posts on Instagram. And it's not that like I think like, oh my gosh, all these are popping off or whatever. It's not. It's
Yeah.
just consistency. That's all it is just being present every single day and proving to people. Because I'll say this too, a lot of people are in this business as a hobby. And so you kind of have to
Makes
prove yourself
sense.
as not a hobbyist. And I think for me, that's in my social media posts that I do take this very seriously. And this is my, this is my livelihood and I'm raising my family off of what I'm earning here. So yeah, I mean, I take it serious, but, oh gosh, that's so true. Like if you could go back and see my numbers when I first started this business, it was not much. So yeah, it definitely grows and it's the long game with organic for
Yeah.
sure.
Totally. And I would say even when you got started, the social media algorithms probably weren't as sophisticated as they are now in terms of putting content with potential people. Like now they have honed that in so good that it's like as long as you continue to place content, if you're talking about something that someone cares about and you understand your audience well enough, they'll find it.
That's a
As
great
long as you're
point.
consistent.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I hadn't really thought about that, to be honest. So, okay, that's like good encouragement to keep
Yeah,
going.
they really are. I mean, I think, and maybe I'm kind of punching outside my weight class here, but I don't think LinkedIn's is as sophisticated yet. I think LinkedIn, because I kind of get stuff on LinkedIn, like as a consumer, I get some stuff. I'm like, what? Why? I
Why
looked
am I
at one
getting this?
AI post and now all I see is AI's the greatest, AI's the worst. And I'm like, is that really? That doesn't seem right. But Meta, they have, I mean, they have it dialed
Yeah,
in. And I would
very
assume, I
solid.
don't use TikTok either, because I think TikTok is really for people who maybe really, really like to make content for a certain reason,
Yeah.
or a certain style. But I know Meta's, their algorithm's so good. And even Google's with YouTube is so good now with recommendations that like you don't have to do paid as long as you're consistent and you're doing something that's showing you and is of value.
Right, right. That's so true. Well, and I think too, like with Google, I mean, we always tell our newer advisors too, I'm like, freaking get a Google business page. Like, have a
Yeah.
website, have a Google business page. Like, those just platforms of like, be out there and get those people the social proof, get people to write reviews. And then guess what? That becomes content. Like, it's just kind of
Yep.
this I don't know, like you gotta build the machine, and then once you build it, like it will just flow, you know. But I
That's
think
right.
in the beginning it's so hard when you're trying to figure out like what the heck do I say?
Exactly.
What the heck do I
What
put out there?
It's so true. It's like what do I say? What am I trying to achieve? Like what am I trying to do? Who am I trying to get a hold of?
Hmm.
And what works? And sometimes you just got to throw stuff against the wall. Like
Yeah.
I have just found this format. I've gotten a lot of engagement. I've gotten emails and texts, and just a lot of people are like, "Hey, this is super encouraging. Hey, I learned a lot. Hey, I didn't know you guys did this." And
Mm.
so I have just found that this format has worked a little bit better than maybe some of the others. And I think that's kind of the beauty of playing with organic content at this kind of user generated founder led marketing scales. It's like it's not super expensive to do, and you
Hmm.
can kind of take some risk and play with some things.
Right,
And
right.
so I think
It's definitely playing with it. Like that's how where I'm at with LinkedIn at this point. I'm like, okay, that didn't hit, or like that randomly hit. Like why did
yeah,
everybody want to talk about that or comment on that? So yeah,
yeah,
I love that it's you can play and fail and be like, okay, I guess I'll just try that again tomorrow. You know?
yeah, for sure, exactly. We're I'm continuing to build this type of content, this sort of just free flowing conversation, just trying to learn from each other type of content. But then we're also doing some of the paid ad campaign strategy aimed. We're specifically aiming at franchise owners because we think there's a opportunity there of like, hey, they've already got a well established business model that has a great brand. They have branded content from corporation, but they're not really resonating with their local market. And so we see an
Mm,
opportunity there of like, hey, if we can make you good content and know what levers to pull, we think we can help you. And so like that is who we're aiming at now with a paid campaign strategy coming up soon. I'm curious to see how that works, but like part of the reason I'm doing this stuff is like if that person sees it, then finds me, then sees us talking about this, it's like, oh, well, I feel like I kind of know him. Like now I can
right.
talk to him, and it's like, oh, it's I met Ali at the bar,
Yeah.
or at
Right.
soccer camp, or whatever.
Yeah. I think that's so true. And that's like so intriguing to me too, because I'm thinking about our agency as we grow. And like, when I first started, it was literally in the Kentucky, Tennessee branch that we have. It was just Sherry and I. And
Hmm.
now we have like, I don't know, we have a lot of agents. I would say in across the country, we have 30 plus. And
Oh
these new
wow.
advisors that we're bringing on it is kind of like that. They're like, okay, but like what do we say in relation to picture this travel? And so I kind of can see that like, you have this corporation that's having their branding, but it may not be your branding, and you can kind of navigate that a little bit and make it a little bit more personalized. So that's super intriguing. I like that.
Yeah, and I would think in your all's world, thinking about your other agents, it's like so much of your work is dealing one on one.
Mhm.
It's not just I'm not just giving you a dashboard. I'm not just giving you, hey, here's your plane tickets, now go figure it out. Like it's a one-on-one consultancy essentially.
Mhm.
And so like if the content almost has to just sell who that person is.
Yes.
And get people to feel, and that's why I think you're being so successful with what you're doing is because people just like you're just authentically you, and then when they talk to you, they're like, oh yeah, I know that person, and so that's
Right.
definitely I think in your all's world that's something people should lean into.
Yeah, yeah. I do think the people the advisors who are doing that, I'm seeing that is much more successful for them, for sure. Instead of just
Yeah.
relying on the corporate content.
Yeah, totally. And the corporate content, like it works in a to a degree, like you need it because it just kind of gives you a little bit of like validation of, oh, you're not just this hobbyist. You are
Hmm.
working, you are trying to provide a professional service. So there is something to lean in on that side. But then there's just the personalized element of it that as soon as somebody feels like they know you, I mean, they'll be like,
Right.
it's what probably, and I don't have any numbers for this. Again, probably punching outside my weight class. But I would assume they're way more likely to do that conversion that you're trying to get them to do if they feel like they know you.
Hmm.
So not just your all's business. I try to lean into that with any business, anybody that can that can feel like they can talk about themselves and what they do. Like it just helps overall people trust you for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. Totally agree.
Yeah. So, man, we've already covered so much of like the stuff I had planned out. One question I always ask everybody, and I almost wasn't going to ask you because I feel like I know the answer, but I'm going to ask you anyways.
Okay.
Is what's your superpower?
Oh my goodness. Oh, I don't know what my superpower is. This is stressful. Okay. I'm gonna
Put you on the
say
spot.
listening between the lines is my superpower. Um, and like navigating that with people because I feel like a lot of people they don't really they know what they want, but they don't know how to achieve it.
Mm.
And so, especially when it comes to travel, because things feel a certain way online, or they feel a certain way when their friend told them about their trip. But then when they have to go navigate it themselves, it feels very, very overwhelming. So I think listening between the lines and really empathizing with people's experiences and then being able to turn that around and say, okay, I hear you here. This is what you're saying, and this is what you need. Um, and a lot of my job is like convincing people to not do what they think they want to do.
Okay. Yes. So glad I asked you this question
Okay.
because the way you just worded that is that applies to so much of business. It is
Mm-hmm.
directly applied to what we do. Like what people will a lot of times do with us. Hey, I want to make this video. Let's make it. And I'll be like, why?
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 Mm-hmm.
What do you, sure, yeah, I'll help you. I can help you make a video, but what
Right.
are you trying to achieve? What problem are you trying to solve? What do you like to be able to actually listen to someone and like you said, like read between the lines like of what they're really asking? That's actually really difficult to do. Like sometimes I'll actually struggle with that. Sometimes I'll take what somebody gives me at face value
Mm-hmm.
and won't always read between the lines. And so I'll be like, oh yeah, we can do this for you. But then we get into it, it's like, oh, we actually probably should have done this.
Right.
And that's something I've been trying to work on. So the fact that you can intuitively do it actually says a lot because I'm sure, yeah, you got people who have a conception of what they
Mm-hmm.
think they need when it comes to travel, and you're like, well, what you're actually that looking for,
Right.
trying to get
Not
is
that.
this. Yeah. So maybe
Yeah.
maybe just talk about how you look for that and what you try to when you're like listening to people, what you how you find that.
Yeah, I think the one that I'm thinking of that's most common is like people will call me thinking that this is just an example. The only way to do Alaska is to take a cruise because everybody and their mother has done it. That's the only way they've ever heard about it. They see the commercials on TV. And
Hmm.
so I will have people call me and they're like, "Well, I think we want to do an Alaskan cruise." And I'm like, "But do you?" I'm like, let's talk about that. And we really start getting in and like they love fishing and being outdoors and seeing wildlife and nature. And I'm like, okay, you're gonna literally hate a cruise. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
there's other ways to do this, right? And they
yeah.
just have no idea. So I think it's just cool to like expose people to the things that they don't know about. But that's kind of like the one that I get a lot, just because you have this mass marketing from like, you know, Celebrity and Royal Caribbean and all that. And those are great products, but there's just other ways to do things. Um, and it's really a matter of not being an order taker.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so often we want to please in the service
Mm-hmm.
industry that we become order takers. And in
Mm-hmm.
reality, I think when you are truly an expert, you're like, no, I'm not an order taker. Like, I am an expert. You are coming to me, you are telling me what you need, and trust me to then turn around what you are looking for, what you're really looking for, not what you think you need. Um, so I don't know if that really answers your question or not, but I
Yeah,
don't know.
no. It totally does. And I would say the core of that, I think, is with people that are in the service-based industries, is you have to have like a servant's mindset.
Mhm.
Like it's not about you and what you want out of the transaction. It's about you trying to help the person on the other side. And a
Yep.
lot of that is doing problem solving. But I think and this is like I had mentioned to you, sometimes I want to police, like I'm naturally a people pleaser. So I think it's actually kind if you know the answer and you are actually trying to help them, it is kind to say, hey, that's probably not the best way to go about it. We probably need to go
Right.
about it this way because I'm trying to help you get here. And the way you're framing it, that we're not actually going to get there. We may get there eventually, but probably not. And so
Right.
this would actually be the way to get there. And I think that not everybody intuitively does that. Some people just want to get the financial reward out of the transaction rather than trying to say, hey, I get a lot of satisfaction out of seeing somebody go on a great trip that they didn't think they need.
Yeah, that's so true. And it is really about serving people well. And that's what's going to get you that repeat and referral, is really serving people well and kind of like surprising them. Because here's the thing, you know, you can book a trip online. Like you can do it yourself, Technically you can. But it's one of those things of like, I really do want to prove myself as a service that then people are like, I'm never doing a trip without Ali. Like, she's literally in my back pocket. Like, she's always here when I need her. And she's going to do what's best for me, And I do, like, especially surviving, like, the COVID era of travel. Like, I really do have people's best interest at heart. And I think that's what's served me well in the industry, because so many people just kind of halfway do it. And that's just not my personality. Like I'm totally all in. So yeah, the servant heart is definitely a necessary component for sure.
Yeah, well, when I'd asked you that question about your superpower, when you said I'm an all-in person, that's where my head was. It's like I just know that you're a person who's going to give it your all in what you do, and so I kind of knew the answer, but when you worded it the way you did, I'm like, yes, it goes across so many other businesses and applies to so many things, and so
That's
yeah,
true.
it's great. Um, I've gotten through the things I wanted to talk about. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about with your world or where you're going, where you're headed next?
I don't know. I'm like I'm like made a little note over here of like
Yeah.
things. Um, I don't know. I guess maybe like really the thing that I would maybe encourage people with content creation. I don't know if that's where we want to go with this, but um, I think just posting, being consistent, but then also like when you are, this is what I think about with my job, like my day-to-day job feels very boring. I'll be really
Mhm.
honest. Like I just
Yeah.
sit by myself in this office at my computer, like on the
Yep.
phone typing away. Um, and I'm like, I can't make content. Like it would just be this office all the time,
Yeah.
So sometimes I do make content in this office, doing things, solving people's problems, because that's important. Um, but when I do the fun part of my job,
Mhm.
I'm like gather, like
Yeah. Totally.
go go hard with the content. And like I may not even post it in live time, but I'm just gathering a whole bunch. Like, when I went to Jamaica with my friend, it was like for a celebration trip, and I was like, I'm just getting a whole bunch of stuff. Like, I don't know how I'm going to use this, but I'm going to take videos and pictures. And I love Google Photos has just become so much greater when you're searching because you can just be like, palm tree video.
Mm.
And then you're like, oh, great, I'll use this, and I like go snatch it up. Or like the other day, I made a reel about like Paxton, my little boy, and
Yeah.
like making him like a traveler. So I literally just went through and was like, pictures of Paxton in international destinations. And I'm like, great, here's a whole folder of content, to make this reel. So I think like just gathering when it's the fun stuff,
Hmm.
when there is something visual, just gather. Don't stress about posting right in that moment. Just gather
Right.
and you'll figure it out later.
Yep.
And utilizing just Google Photos is king in my house. Like I love being able to go in there and just search, especially when I'm not feeling super inspired or I'm looking at my desk and being like, this is all really boring and not content worthy.
Yeah.
Then I can be like, okay, margarita on the beach, and
All
Google
right.
Photos will magically find some content that I've filmed back in February. So I don't know if that's like, hopefully that's encouraging to people
Yeah.
because like everybody's job is a job at the end of the day.
Hmm.
Um, but there are there are aspects of it that I think are the boring side. Film that, get pictures of that. And then there are aspects of it that are really fun and are really passionate and bring you back, that don't give you the Sunday scaries, that kind of fun side of it. Just capture that too.
Yeah.
And you don't have to know how you're going to use it right now, but maybe a year from now, you'll have a cool post or ad or something. I don't know. So,
Totally with you. That's something that took me a little bit to get over was I didn't like sometimes the fun part of our job is when we're on set, and I always felt like I had to post what I was doing right at that moment of being on set, like But then I kind of when I started to really hone in on our content, I was like, actually, all I got to do is build a library, and then I can actually strategize and plan it out over a 6-month period of time.
Yep.
And think about more creative ways to rope it in. And so I think thinking not necessarily having to be so bound to the time of the thing that you're doing is I think that's a really good tip of how you can use kind of organic content, maybe a little bit more fun, not so pressured.
Yeah.
And then to play off your encouragement, I would also say, like, find the one that you like doing. Like, I like
Absolutely.
doing this stuff in LinkedIn. I really enjoy it. And that's really what I'm leaning into. And so, like, I think experimenting with something. Some people like making the TikTok videos.
Right.
I can't stand them, but some people like them.
Right.
And so I definitely think that there's a fine, like, play with it, play with different formats and platforms and see what you like, and then just see what pops off and find what you like to do. But I think we're at a point now with organic content that you're really doing yourself a disservice if you aren't doing it. And not from a vanity perspective. It is
Right.
not that. It is a connection perspective.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, if you are not out on, a platform or a couple platforms, like you said, you don't have to do them all because you're not going to do them well. But if you aren't out there, yeah, you're just missing a grand opportunity. I mean, it baffles me that I have blown up in a way on Instagram and Facebook, and hopefully I'm projecting this for LinkedIn, but like it just is baffling to me. I'm like, how did I grow a business
Yeah.
on this like phone that everybody scroll, like it's just crazy to me. So if you're not doing it, just start. It's
Just start.
silly not
That's
to.
right. I'm with you. Just start. Just run with it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm gonna name this. If I give it a title, I'm gonna name it "Just Start,"
Okay.
and that's what we'll roll with. But
You're
Allie, it was so much fun. I just love having these conversations. It's
Yeah.
great to hear how you do what you do. I'm always curious to see how you grow and what you're doing next, and I just really appreciate you taking time to talk with me.
Yeah, thanks so much. This is really fun. Same to you. Obviously, I enjoy watching you, and you're super talented, and it's fun to connect with old friends and see like what adulting things we're doing next.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, Allie, and I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
okay, sounds good. Thanks.
See ya.